Hello and welcome to another VOD review. I am only going to have one VOD review this week. I am sorry, I am traveling to Texas to cast with Jaws at the Kickoff Clash, so therefore I'm not going to have a lot of stream time, and I haven't had much time free to be able to do these. So we got to choose one. We let chat decide. They wanted to watch Atlanta vs London, but they kind of got overruled because there's too much drama with that. So we decided to watch a good game of Overwatch, and we're going to watch Seoul Dynasty taking on the Shanghai Dragons. This was a banger of a match. I think this is representative of what we are going to see this upcoming weekend in the APAC region. These teams are playing incredibly well. Shanghai Dragons are starting to make their redemption arc in the APAC region after struggling early on, somehow getting away with it with multiple map 5 wins against weaker teams. But they ended up, I believe, 5-1. And Seoul Dynasty, a team that also started a little slow, but have started to sort of gain their momentum back a little bit. So we're starting to see them really pop off. So we saw these two teams go head to head. There is a lot of great plays. There's some spaghetti that gets dropped all over the place. Some of the best games. So let's look at this. These four teams qualified for the Kickoff Clash. Avril, calm down. We watched these four teams qualify. This is the roster that we're going to see for almost exclusively. We saw a little bit of Stalker in the Kickoff Clash. He came in, played the Tracer, played the Echo. For the most part, he's a solid player, but I would always like to see Profits playing full-time. Samaras been playing really well on the Winston, putting up the championship level performances we know from him. Person I want to highlight that you should keep an eye out for in this series, though, is Creative. Man's a nutter on the Ana. Someone who went from being an underrated player to an overrated player to just a player, it feels like at this point. Putting up some good level performances. A lot of people were worried about the Seoul Dynasty after Jonak ended up retiring, but Creative has stepped into that role very nicely. Shanghai Dragons, we have Lip, we got Who Are You, who's been having a bonkers performance on the Genji. He's collected his ring. He's rubbing it nice and cleanly, but he actually has to do something for this team now. The thing that he was signed for, which is play Genji, and that he has. It's been absolutely dominant, probably the best Genji in the Eastern region so far. Before you fucking Zest and Alpha Yi fans come at me, everyone's entitled to their opinion. They're all great players. I think Who I Use just gets more done and is more consistent. I think so far. Izzyaki and Lee Jae going to the back line, always being solid, and Fate has become a lot more of a mainstay for the Shanghai Dragons roster. He is like the main tank player with Void as the off tank. They've been experimenting with playing Void on the Zarya from time to time, even some other things. It feels like they've really settled into having Fate in this lineup. A part of me wonders if it's not just because of his Winston play, but for his, calling prowess. We know he is a very good player. I've played with him in the past. Very smart player. Understands the game very well. With Void in, maybe they were missing some of that strategy and calling, but we see Fate play pretty much exclusively this series. So the amount of talent in this game is bonkers. The amount of talent in the APAC region is bonkers. If you just watched my sort of weekly recap video, we were talking about the DPS lineups of the four teams that qualified in the Eastern region. Seoul Dynasty, Shanghai Dragons, Hangzhou Spark, Philadelphia Fusion. What do we got? Profit and Fitz for Seoul Dynasty. Lip, Who Are You? Fleta for the Shanghai Dragons. Wait, I just said Shanghai Dragons twice. We got MN3 and Zest and Carpe for the Philadelphia Fusion, and we got Alpha Yi and Shy for the Hangzhou Spark. Dude, they're stacked in the APAC region for the DPS lineups. What is going on with the graphics at the bottom here? Why does Shanghai not have player games? We know they can afford them. It's because Shanghai lockdown. As far as we're aware, I remember reading something that was translated from their team manager. They have very limited internet capabilities right now due to the Shanghai lockdown. They do not have enough, I guess, wiring, or I don't know how it works, but they don't have enough internet right now. And player cams, as you know, uploading player cams will, 5 player cams adds strain to that internet connection, so they'd rather just not have that. There's been memes of like 300 ping and stuff like that. We haven't really had confirmation on the 300 ping truth, but we know that they're struggling with the lockdowns that is currently happening in Shanghai. No, not bandwidth, exactly, right? Yeah, but it's like, it's like, there's like lanes. Like I know in China, I believe it has a different system to what you would have in like the US. In the US, you either have good internet or you don't, because Spectrum and T-Mobile and all that kind of stuff is kind of Yikes. Well, I believe you can like apply for better internet and better like that kind of stuff in China, but I believe Shanghai Dragons weren't able to do that due to certain issues. I don't know why this is taking so long. We're going to jump forward. And despite that, they're winning matches. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if they improve with more consistency. Also, I wonder what their living arrangements are like. Are they just stuck inside? Like completely unable to do anything? That's got to be hard for Korean players living in a different country. So we don't really know that impact. Max Array, thank you for the 100 bits. Custa, it's so good to see you, my man. Mind if I ask you saw the trash talk during the picks? Which was your favorite? Mine was Sparkle and Hopple. That stuff was great. Honestly, I think they're all really good. I think, you know, obviously Gator didn't really give us a lot. Sam was like 1/10 of the screen and just woke up. So, you know, they have their own spice and their own charm in those two. But I really enjoyed Unter and Jake going back and forth. Unter is the most stereotypical Australian person you've ever seen. He's got that fucking big bushy mustache. He's got the mullet in the back. He's just slanging trash talk. Jake didn't even know how to respond. I don't even know how I would respond as well to something like that. But yeah, it's cool to see that from all the teams. Sparkle and Hoppo, yeah, were definitely great as well. I think it went well. You know, we always get worried that, you know, we're not going to get enough from some of these teams, but people really liked it.
Going to the Kickoff Clash, and we still don't exactly know who it's going to be. But Kilios, we're going to find out. Map number 1, Oasis.
We are.
Doesn't Achilles speak Korean? Why don't we get APAC interviews? I don't know if Achilles speaks good enough Korean to be able to translate.
Set 3 and 2. I'm going to see if they can clean it up a little bit more here today.
All right, let's get into this one. We got both teams playing the Winston Genji. This is a pretty consistent theme that we see from both of these teams. Seoul Dynasty getting up there. Prophet just murders Lip at the beginning of the fight. That's a free fight. It's a free fight. Good dive by Seoul.
It's a really interesting opening for Seoul as well because you see Prophet on the Genji. Now, Genji is hard meta, but Seoul have actually preferred to play the Prophet Tracer in all of their recent games.
I love Sparkle. He could be a national goddamn treasure. Yeah, Sparkle, he doesn't even play for Dallas, but he's still being like subbed in. I even love that his like recognition of that. Sparkle's like, I'm probably not even going to play, but we're going to dominate you. It's like, yeah, you tell him.
Absolutely do. Always been a prime target since he really started showing.
Spark's birthday, by the way. Oh, happy birthday! Not D tier Tracer. I'm proud of you.
Who are you? Keeping pace with him for now. Smurf gonna get taken down. You mentioned Lip. There he goes. Finds a kill. Looks for another one. Helps set up for the.
Damn. I remember seeing this as part of the match. I feel like Shanghai Dragons do a great job of isolating Smurf. Like it feels like Smurf. Like, Fate goes in, plays aggressive, and then Smurf just gets isolated by the backline of Shanghai Dragons. They punish Smurf, and then able to go.
That will be the flip.
Couple of kills there on the exit for Prophet, as, you know, they know they've lost the fight, but just to slow...
Yeah, like, Danny's so fluent, he can keep up with the speakers while translating and keep everything going fast enough so the translation doesn't drag too much. Yeah, exactly. And, like, even Danny, who speaks fluently of both, you know, like, he struggles from time to time with, like, being able to find the words and stuff like that. It must be so difficult if you don't speak either of those fluently. So that's why we are lucky we have Danny. He offers a lot to our league. Smurf. I love the delay when interviews are going on, and that's the biggest problem of like, you know, people are like, oh, the interviews, there's so many awkward pauses and people speaking over each other. It's like, that's literally just because there's like a 1 second delay when we're talking to each other. Woo! Oh, this is such a whiff. This is such a whiff. As it feels bad. I think if Who Are You gets that kills and stays alive, they might actually be able to hold this, but so I'll get the flip.
Will go ahead, make his exit. Yeah, didn't have enough support, so does have to pull back.
Vindane uses the sound barrier early to keep Seoul into the fight, or at least to get them in towards the fight.
I think he thought he had deflect there. Oh, really? So he like pressed it and he just like nothing happened.
Both the Seoul Dynasty supports. Prophet and Fitz not in a position.
Love that disengage from Fate. Yeah, it's just smart recognition of what they can and can't do. But look how many ults Seoul has. Like they won that fight with just the beat. They Nanovisor, like Nanovisor versus no Blade gets slapped by Creative. As I said, coming into this series, Creative was good, and I think he has been playing really well. Gets to sleep on a Who Are You, gets the 2K with the nade.
Comfortably taking the lead now, 16% up over top of the Dragons.
Massive sleep dump. We talked about this in the pre-show. Creative finds the
So games are cringe. Danny is great, but some of the kids need public speaking training. Just some of them don't. I think the biggest problem with these interviews from time to time is they just don't elaborate. Like you are, even though if you're asked a basic question, you should expand and elaborate in whatever way you need, because it's hard to ask like a very. If you just answer the basic question and don't elaborate, and no interview is ever going to be interesting. And that's just something that players used to be trained at. You know, we used to get PR training and stuff like that. Ooh, nice shurikens by Prophet. I don't know. Does anyone know how Who Are You dies? Like, how does Who Are You even die here? So he's over there. He must have dove. Yeah, I just have no idea what happened to Who Are You. Sports interviews are constantly mid though. They're just there so we don't get fined. Yeah, but that's like, the answer should be generic. That's generally how things are always going to be, even in sports. But the problem that we have right now is that we get the questions are generic and all that kind of stuff, and it's hard to like get these really good questions and its answers out of them. But it's better to be generic than short formed, right? Like if you're asked a question about the game and you answer it in one sentence, how's the interviewer supposed to be able to do anything with that, right? One thing I don't like is people that come into the league stream and bash Lemon and the other female casters, and I'm just like, bro, chill. Our casters and everyone of them has great personalities different. Well, yeah. There is a part of the internet that is going to see a woman and then just see rage. It's just the bad part of the incel culture of the internet. You just got to ignore them. Like most of those people are literally just trying to bait people to make them mad. Like you don't get anything out of. That's it. Nice sleep. Guys are doing a great job. Yeah, we love it. I look for public feedback and sentiment a lot on like, you know, Twitter and Reddit. Like not too much. You don't want to go too deep into that. But if you're looking at YouTube chat for good public sentiment, you're in the wrong place. Another great sleep by Creative just there. Almost get Fate, but Smurf, like once again, as I said, Smurf goes deep. Fate isolates the rest of the Shanghai the Seoul Dynasty. Almost dies in his own wing, but he's punishing Smurf for that as well. Oh, Fitz gets Who Are You and Fate though. Who's Tazon Day? Tazon Day, do you know the old YouTube sensation Chocolate Rain? Tazon Day wrote that, and like that's his video. He's like internet famous, like old school internet famous. And one of the few Valiant fans that still exists. I discovered a Avast stream. Yeah, Avast is great culture and great stream. It's one of the reasons that a lot of people do prefer co-streams over like the official streams and stuff like that, because chat is just absolute cancer. And like you can like there's not as much mods as you do have in a personal channel and stuff like that.
Profit there as they continue to contest the point, trying to not deny this flip. But Who Are You got into the back lines of the Dynasty, takes out Creative.
Who Are You gets Creative. Ooh, nice rockets.
Direct hit to the chest. The rockets tear apart Fitz. The flip will come through yet again. 35% as the flip happens. Dragons gain control.
And you get to see the Who Are You.
Good dive by Shanghai Dragons.
Doing quite a decent amount. It's not something that he's actually really played so far this season. I'm trying to remember.
Can anyone co-stream? Anyone's able to co-stream. You can YouTube co-stream on certain events where you can actually stream the game. But most of the times, the only way you can co-stream is if you don't show the gameplay. Like what a lot of people do is they stream it on Twitch, but they don't show the gameplay. So it's kind of like a podcast talking over the game. So you would watch the match muted while listening to the co-stream, if that makes sense.
Getting ready to have a second support ultimate to go for the side of the Shanghai Dragons here.
Thank you very much for money. Why is Soul blue? I don't know. There was something weird that happened with the spectating UI here. Going deep. Shanghai gets the backline. Clean dive by Shanghai. Did they lose the point though? Yeah, they lost the point. That's not very good. Someone needs to be able to hold the point if you're going to go that aggressive. Because yeah, now like Prophet gets his Yaki and Soul is currently still ticking up, right? So if Soul wins this fight, this is enormous for them. Because they're going to get, what is this fight? Like they're going to get the point, they're going to get the fight win. Plus an extra like 20% just because they capped it before the fight even ended.
They're not able to find anything off the back of that here. Smurf going to end up getting taken down, but Fitz was completely unhinged. He was completely uncontested. A little bit of damage his way, but Smurf came to his rescue. They keep him in the fight in Dynasty. It looked like it was just going to be a quick flip back in. Maybe they gain, 8-10%, but no, they hold it.
Are those Boston do. I think that might be it. There must be, I think what happened is they had the Boston assets up for the Seoul Dynasty or something like that. Because when Seoul wins this map, it's like Boston Uprising wins. It's like, what? So we got Nano Visor. Like this actually happens consistently as well. Like Shanghai have this really good dive where they like hard split up their front line and back line, right? Fate jumps up knowing he has Primal, and I think Who Are You follows him up as well, and they actually get Findame. So Seoul Dynasty's response to that dive is to put the Nano onto Fit so then he can Visor to stop the dive. But what happened is Shanghai didn't dive with anyone other than Fate and Who Are You. So what happens is Fate pulls all this positioning away. Somehow Lee Jae-gon kills creative as well. And that allows the backline for the Shanghai Dragons to walk up. So Lee Jae-gon gets profit as well. Dude, Lee Jae-gon is just fragging.
Huge pickups for him, and 99% the Dragons will be able to flip this back into their favor.
Pretty huge for Dragons not to have overspent.
That is it, Bisho. Yeah, me and Johnny can't be in the same room. It would prove Zoe's theory that me and Johnny are the same person, correct?
Not gonna nano, and again, this is really
Lip popping a Visor in spawn.
do not want to have to overspend because they need to
Respect.
get themselves, and they must have enough ultimates remaining to get themselves across the board, considering that Seoul Dynasty have 3 in the pocket still, and Seoul only need a 1 and done to get this map and start out with a 1 and 0.
So very close to it, and they still have a plethora of tools to try to utilize here to get this flip back.
Shanghai don't really have much. I think they're going to go early, right, with that Nano?
Grab this mega pack.
They didn't even Nano, actually. Oh, they did Nano. They Nanoed Lip eventually.
The pulse bomb at least for a little bit longer, but no.
Who Are You? This was an enormous pulse bomb. It's hard to really see, but Who Are You gets a pulse bomb on the Fitz, who pops the Visor. Fitz pops the Visor, gets pulse bombed, and that is just all she wrote for a lot of what's... Because Seoul Dynasty, that was like the only ultimate they have. Smurf goes down. Shanghai just had positioning, and then all of a sudden, Seoul's going to try and trickle onto the point. Have you seen / gonna watch Chengdu versus Shanghai? Why do I think I did watch that match? But I will not be watching it and reviewing it this week. This is the only one I will be reviewing for the week.
It's 199 in response. Shanghai Dragons clapping back here in the second round of City Center.
Thank you very much for money. Oh, sorry. I ain't a Valley supporter, but I followed your career. You were amazing in the league and made me pick up the support line. But man, I miss Jane coaching Dallas. Maybe a bit controversial when he said some stuff, but he had a great smile and personality at the time. Hey, I think a lot of people really enjoyed Jane's content. I think he had a really cool niche of coaching content. So I don't think that's controversial. He definitely the inventor of esports, was it? He definitely got a little too big for his own britches, but yeah. I don't actually know where he is. Mind if I ask, as a pro support, is there a support you are expecting to thrive this season, or someone you have your sights on in the league? Sorry if I sound like I'm doing a job, just curious. I think there's like some supports that I think are like integral to the success of like their team. Like I think Washington Justice with like Krillin and Opener, like I'm really curious to see how they're going to do. Like there's a lot of veteran supports. If anything, I think the least amount of change came in the support role for certain things. You got Chorong and fucking Twilight for the Toronto Defiant, which is a really cool duo. Semajed, yeah, Semajed's had a really good season so far, and I think isn't really being talked about enough with the success of the Florida Mayhem. Yeah. Chio, yeah, Chio's been good for the Dallas Fuel. I talked to Jane the other day. He's good. Oh, that's good. Yeah, like, he seems like he's just probably going doing his own thing, right? Like, just leaving. There's a lot of people that have come and gone from the Overwatch team. Ultraviolet OG, yeah. Ultraviolet OG is an interesting one because they have crazy impact in their first few matches, right? When they were playing weaker teams and we were like really high on them as players. I feel like that we haven't really seen their impact as much. But like even in like the losses by the Atlanta Reign, Ultraviolet is still making plays. Like he's getting 3 people on him and somehow he always gets 1 on the way out. So UV's definitely been having some big impact even though Atlanta's been struggling. So your thoughts on Semajed for Black Horse Rookie of the Year? I just don't think Florida Mayhem is ever going to get to the point in which they're going to be successful enough for Semajed to win Rookie of the Year, especially over team like when you have like other players like I don't know like Finn for the San Francisco Shock, right? Like San Francisco Shock is a more successful team with better components around him and is expected to have more. Like Finn's probably just going to be better. Nanovisor to counter the blade. Good disengage from Prophet. Prophet forces out the Nanoblade and disengages. That was pretty well played. Smurf gets punished though.
Prophet's off the back of that damage. also eliminated here, but it's going to be a 2-for-1 trade-up.
Alright, Nanovisor. That's hard to deal with.
Rage Fitz now popping the tack visors, looking for another target. It's going to be beaten and battered back over towards the Shanghai Dragon spawn room. It's zapped a little bit.
Yeah, and then like that, we're not even talking about the people that are having like big impact right now, like your Zests, your Proppers, and that kind of stuff. Good beat by Midnight. Obviously, they're in a perfect world, they wouldn't have to have had to use the beat, but I think that was the right thing. Just guarantee that you win that fight. Who are you? He's got a free blade now.
Questionable. I think Seoul were very desperate to make sure that they were going to guarantee the fight.
Dynasty is going to get a power up and 3-0 the Dragons in the tournament and go on to win it all. Definitely no copium takes here. Yeah, no copium in that sentiment. Hey, I hope you're right. I put in my bracket that Shanghai's going to win. I would love to be wrong. I would love for Shanghai to like be the loser and see one of these other teams like a Seoul or a Philly have success. And I love the pacing of the Seoul Dynasty, and I think this is actually something that looks really good for them in the past. Like, so they get the fight win, recognizing that they don't really have any ultimates, right? The only thing they have is the Smurf Primal Rage. So what they do is they recognize that they need to up the tempo. If they just wait and then wait for the blade to come out, they wait for the beat to come out, they're just going to eventually fall over. Seoul Dynasty do this way better, especially than the Shanghai Dragons. Like Shanghai Dragons, they should know that they have the advantage here. They should probably go faster with the blade and the beat. But by trying to set up positioning, what happens is Seoul recognize, hey, we should go. Like, we don't want to get caught here. Smurf goes in early. Look at how aggressive the backline of Seoul Dynasty is playing. Like, Who Are You's looking for them, but they're actually in his backline. So they go super aggressive, and then Who Are You ends up out of position. So that by the time that Who Are You pulls the blade, the rest of the team isn't anywhere near to be able to, like, they're already dead, right? So Who Are You gets value with it, but it can eventually be hard turned on. Lee J Gon tries to force the blade at the last second. I think he gets it late. Just not enough, but then all of a sudden the backline gets cleaned up. That's how you win fights at an ultimate disadvantage. You play at a different tempo. You don't allow the opposition team to play with the style that they want to play. Otherwise, you're just going to fall over. That's something the best teams do.
Over towards Fate, who's been eliminated by Fitz. The DPS duo is here, as well as, rather, it's Who Are You and Lee J Gon that are...
I agree with you, Macerade. I think Dallas are the favorites in my eyes for the Western region. I think they are the most well-rounded. Boston Uprising wins! Yeah! I always knew Boston Uprising would win the APAC region. Thoughts on Prophet front-running for MVP? Or who would you like? Okay, so instead of thinking about Prophet, who would be above Prophet? Let's talk about that. I think Hanbin, is putting up MVP performances. I think Lip is having some MVP performances. I can see Prophet. Like, Prophet is having good, but like he's also gone missing in certain matches.
I know, right? Come on.
And then like, yeah, I think Proper is a good shout, but I think it's a hard thing. Kevster, I think for me, a lot of Kevster MVP conversation comes down to how they perform in the playoffs this weekend.
Back in the proper lobby. We got the color schemes taken care of, so I hope all of you poor fans that were panicking are satisfied.
Because, you know, Kevster, he needs to prove that he can win these map 5s, right?
Seoul Dynasty blue.
Oh my god,
Boston
how can
colors.
they do this to my team?
They've turned it. They've combined. That's the future. We got to.
Finn should be considered. Yeah, I just think I usually put Finn in more of a rookie of the year position. Damn, Boston won against the Shanghai. Always knew they had it in them. Yeah, just revenge for the 2019 match where Shanghai got their first victory. Boston got their first victory in the APAC region against Shanghai. It's poetic.
So far, so the test will be definitely for Fitz to keep up, as other widows have certainly failed.
They have.
Why do you think East prefer Genji so frequently, even over the Reaper and Icons? It's because the East is much better at Genji. They have much better Genji players compared to the West. I think as soon as more people started playing Winston in the West, because Winston's quite good against Genji, because you can just zap him, he can't really have a lot of effect with you. I think a lot of people were struggling, like having mixed effectiveness with the Genji, and for that reason, people started going towards Tracer. That's why, in general, I think people in the West have better Tracers, but worse Genjis. I think someone is my rookie of the year. Yeah, someone's been really good on tanks as well. It's a good shout.
Another Bionade onto Lip as well. I mean, he's just pushing everyone back. The only thing that the Seoul Dynasty haven't got good control over.
Fielder and Chia getting overlooked as supports. I agree with Azavia. Like, I think they've been great, and you know they're always good for the thing. I don't think they've had MVP performances.
Immensely good for Dragons. That despite losing so many
Better traces in the West. I'm talking like mean better traces in the West. Does that make sense? Like, they are better. Like, in the West, people prefer to play the Tracer. I'm not saying, like, you know, everyone's better than Prophet or Lip on Tracer and stuff like that. I'm sort of, like, talking the average Tracer play compared to the average Genji play is better in the West, if that makes sense.
kind of a win for Dragons.
Alpha has the potential. Alpha's definitely been having some Rookie of the Year performances as well.
Fitz taking a hit. Backs away for now. Lip again, looking for a pop shot, looking for a target.
So Shanghai playing this incredibly slowly. They tried to get the, you know, cap the point and sort of like push it underneath while trying to go top, but then sort of lost some people. So now we got a reset. Lip, like, I don't really know how I feel about this offensive Widow if you can't get that positioning. Because, like, if Lip just doesn't get the picks, then it kind of doesn't offer anything. Creative Nano's Prophet. Just to create the space. He's actually going to pull the blade as well to make sure they win the fight and get the value out of the blade, which is nice. Obviously, it's good to win that fight. There's only 2 minutes remaining for the Shanghai, but you also need to think those are 2 big ultimates that they just committed to that fight. So now all of a sudden, because walls don't really count as like a valuable team fighting ult in a way. So now they need to get big value out of this Smurf Primal and mitigate a lot of the value the Shanghai Dragons are going to get.
So well done there. I mean, that's the nano difference, right? The ultimates come online for Seoul first. Prophet on a little bit of a deep lurk here, and actually, they've managed to get in some ways behind the Seoul Dynasty. Infrasight will reveal them though, so Prophet has to get away.
Yep.
So Shanghai, they have to be looking for their nano blade. Who are you is charging an incredibly slow nano blade, by the way. He's not even at 90%, you know, 2.5 minutes into the round.
He can play a bit more freely now that he has the Primal Rage ready to roll, so this is looking to keep them zoned off this position as much as possible. Now drops back down. Look how far that.
So they're gonna nano who are you? I don't know if I feel like they thought, they just guessed that. I think they just guessed Seoul were gonna be in that room and then they just weren't. Oh, that's a big. Damn. Yeah, I think they just assumed that they were gonna be in the server room, but they weren't. So then they used the nano, but who are you can't even get charged of the blade because there's no one there. So kind of a spaghetti drop here by the Shanghai Dragons so far. Unable to get any value. So because Fate, so here was the big problem for me with Shanghai in this thing. So Fate Prime was to try and get value, and then Lee Jae-gon rallies. So they pop the Primal and the rally to stay alive and keep it going. And yes, they get kills, but they eventually go down, right? So essentially, it doesn't matter that they got kills. Because Lee Jae-gon dies, so therefore they just come back from spawn, right? Like everyone that Lee Jae-gon killed and Fate killed, they just come back to point. And now they don't have the rally. While Vindame still has that rally, Lee Jae-gon goes over to the Lucio to have some sort of, I guess, final fight effect. Vindame pops that rally very early. Some would almost say too early.
Early rally, it's a pre-rally as well. They just want to build up that green HP. I mean, we're definitely into final fight here. It's all on who are you. He's already half HP.
Yep, already takes a tag, falls low, will get topped up. Has the Dragon Blade still held, looking for his opportunity.
All right, finally we get the blade.
Everybody spreads. Focus fire coming through from Smurf, and as you can see, he goes in for the chase to try to get Fitz, but he just grapples away to safety. Prophet gonna be taken down.
Oh no.
Needs to fight a hell of a lot more than that. For now,
This was like a massive spaghetti drop. Lip gets 2.
Fate rejoining, but creative shuts.
He's good, we promise. Yeah, we were talking up who are you a little bit here, and it has not really paid off on this map so far. That was just, as I said, Watchpoint Gibraltar. I think one of the biggest reasons you see such so many full holds is that it feels like there aren't that many fights. The spawn room, you know, everyone holds at the back end of the first point, and the spawn room for the attacking team is so far away, so you need to like use a lot of ults to close out the fight. So you only really get one good ultimate cycle if you're the attacking team, and Shanghai Dragons botched it, right? They nanoed Who Are You, didn't get anything, and then Who Are You went in without the nano with the blade, didn't get anything done. The offensive Widow from Lip, not really finding any crucial picks. Like, he got a couple of picks, but they weren't important ones, right? They were in the middle of fights, they were at the end of fights before anything had really happened. Or sorry, after everything had already happened. So... And then Lee Jae-gon used and Fate used their rally and primal to desperation win a fight. So Seoul Dynasty just close it out. Then there's no way the Seoul Dynasty don't close out this map.
didn't get that blade. Creative and Vindame shut him down, but while they're doing that, Creative also just has time to look around, sleep Fate in the middle, or dealing with Who Are You all in one play. That was insane.
It does make me wonder if Seoul probably win this series pretty cleanly if they close out this map.
The Gon dive eventually, and then rest is history. Here we are, full hold completed.
Well, not very far to go in the side of the Shanghai Dragons. They have their work cut out for them here with this defense.
Where did Prophet send that TP? Did no one take the TP? Prophet came out, dropped a sim TP, and no one even took it. No one appreciates the things that Prophet does for them, you know?
Police the positioning here of that enemy Widowmaker. Fate playing forward, and I mean the rest of the Dynasty say, we don't care about you, Fate. They just go to the high ground there for a moment. Smurf will be taking a nap. Headshot through from Lip, but obviously not going to lead to an elimination. Instead, it's yet again Creative just saying like, okay, more charge for me.
Oh. Could have been a bait TP? Yeah, I guess. Like, maybe, like, they think that they should be looking at the TP and then, like, Fitz takes an aggressive angle, but it's hard to really know.
And, you know, we've seen plenty of time in Lip on this map.
Alright, so Fitz needs to try and find some value here, right? Like, we saw Lip get no real, like, offensive value here. So let's see if Fitz can get more. Like, Prophet's also charging a blade, tragically slow.
I think it's been mostly the Genjis and the
Izyaki's getting a fast nano though.
Yeah, I mean those two final blows you talk about, Lip got him at the very end of that last round, you know, on their attack where it didn't really matter because everybody else had been dead and no one could contest the card after that. So, yeah, the kills that he
there's the kill, right? That's a big kill by Fitz. That's the reason you're playing the Widow, the offensive Widow, to try and get that play. He does go down to Who Are You, which is a good dive by Fate and Who Are You. Did they kill Fate here? Earlier? That would have been crazy. Big nano onto Who Are You, goes up to clean everyone up. So this is the good part of Who Are You. You know when we were like, oh, Who Are You, so great. And then he went and did that stuff that he did on attack. This is what we meant when we said he's great on the defense. Just manages to get high value dives alongside Fate. They actually nano Who Are You a lot without the blade, just so that he becomes more tanky and can play more aggressive.
It's reasonable where they are. They just need to secure the rest of these ultimates now. Creative can get this nano. Izyaki's already used one. The infrasight will be kind of whatever from Fitz, but we'll just make sure that they know where Lip is.
Just a few more meters really here to go for the side of the Dynasty. Now they have that infrasight rolling. Fitz spotting out everybody but Lip.
Oh, Lip gets smurfed before the fight even opens up. That's walls as well. So, you know, in the same way that we talked about Shanghai Dragons. Oh, I'm surprised. So Fate uses the primal there. Stops Fitz from hitting that headshot onto the slept Genji, I believe it was.
He's not dying. Good healing focus out from the side of the Seoul Dynasty to keep that Widowmaker in the fight. Now falling lower and lower.
Big body block by Smurf there. So they managed to punish Fate for that one.
Rally rolling from Gon, trying to offer up that extra healing out, extra health rather, onto his teammates. Dash forward. Yeah, so it feels like Seoul's having the same issue that Shanghai did, where they were playing aggressively. And then, like, they get a couple of picks, but then they lose people, and they feel like they can commit to the fight. So Seoul have been using their ultimates to try and keep the fight going, but they haven't ever actually been able to close it. Prophet only just got his blade, really. But now, once again, they only have the primal and the blade to close this out. And Shanghai Dragons got the nano. Poor Fitz, and they, you know, that's the way it is. Play Widow here. You're very rarely going to get the freedom to shoot at people. It's more about how much impact, like, can you mitigate the impact of the Widow, and can your Widow stay alive? Because just staying alive as a Widow is generally more effective than even hitting the headshots. Obviously, you need to hit headshots eventually. If you have, like, there's no way that, like, this is a misplay, in my opinion, by the Seoul Dynasty. You can't have Fitz standing on that close high ground and not take control of blue box. Because they ignore taking control of blue box, as soon as their, like, team leaves, Fate and Who Are You just murder. And then they just, there's a nano onto Who Are You again, who just gets 2 kills. And Prophet is never able to get anything done. So, a bit of spaghetti also dropped by the Seoul Dynasty, unable to, like, string a good series of ultimates and events together. But you need to give You need to give props to Fate and Who Are You. I think they played that incredibly well with their synchronized dives, making it so that Fitz was never in a position
to be able to get multiple picks. I don't know how to feel about the Widow. It either looks incredible or really bad. And that's the double-edged sword of Widow. It can single-handedly win you fights, but it also can single-handedly lose you fights. Because the Widow, like, doesn't do much neutral damage outside of getting one-shot kills, so...
I mean, thank Mr. Who Are You for all of that, honestly. He saved Shanghai's bacon with his heroic plays in a situation...
My fingers crossed that we get...
Our chat calls it a C9 now, is over. Our chat calls everything a C9. Anytime someone caps, C9.
Well, hey, maybe we'll add some more onto it if we can have some draws.
Yeah, we draw, we get to go to Circuit as map 6. You guys don't even know that because it's not in the ground.
Hey, buddy. I know. Yeah.
Circuit Royale is map 6.
Widow Genji feels like some of the most feast or famine DPS you can get, yeah. But, like, that's what they love to do in the APAC region. We see way more Widow in the Eastern region. I feel like they love to die on that, like, that sword. They have so much talent and so much individual prowess that they don't mind living and dying by the effectiveness of those individual heroes.
That damn Valiant they capped. And then they won the series. The only series that they have won.
Well,
sorry, they didn't win that.
Develop's only good hero is Widow. He definitely hasn't been having the level of impact on the soldier as we would have liked. But I think Guangzhou as a whole is struggling.
I even posted the memes myself. What am I doing?
Which we can see NA APAC 2 score up against NA 2. Well, we will see it in the middle tournament. Obviously, they're going to be playing online again, unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions. But at least we'll see the two regions go up against each other.
Jump over the top, looking for the shot. Not going to get it. Fits. And I'm maybe just using the poison trap for the hell of it, but we'll go ahead and swap over to the Soldier 76. So we're just going to be...
All right, we're on the mirror again. Winston v. Winston with the Soldier Genji.
As expected, I mean, you know, we're not seeing Chengdu here, no Jinmu Mei, but we are going to see Lip deleted. Holy cow.
Dude, look at... Look, I don't understand how they just... They literally just walked in.
Oh, hey, Lee Jae-gon, you're here. We'll just go ahead, melee him, dagger to the back. Izayaki gone as well. That's all.
I really hope Seoul learns this and Toby pulls out the magic. What is the magic? Is Toby going to sub himself in?
Fast cap here on point A for the side of the Dynasty. Dragons, they have their work cut out.
They just died out of nowhere. Yeah, but like Seoul just like... They just like sped boost in the middle and then like Smurf and Prophet just ran at him. Managed to get the kill.
Oh, Lip MVP. Lip should have been MVP last year. And Prophet's just like, hello, I'm actually still here, guys. And we'll see about that. Just like completely slaps Lip out of the...
Lip died first a lot in this series, yeah. And I think it's just because he's like isolated in a way, right? Because like Fade and Who Are You are trying to control space. And Lip is trying to take that like off angle. But I feel like Prophet did such a good job of punishing him for that. Almost gets Zibby zapped down.
Protocols with the rest of the team. Cart in the meantime starting to inch forward, so will be contested by Fate as he drops down to the low ground. Decent charge for him, moving over towards that primal rage. Lip as well, pacing Fitz for now. Cart though starting to inch forward again.
I mean, Nano is available now, so once again, creative, just getting that.
Thank you very much for money.
Decent Bionade as well.
That was a good nade by Izayaki, really putting a hold onto that Nano.
They lay him for a little bit longer there. The tac visor now going to be used. Lip finding Vindheim to start things off. Smurf makes his way to the high ground. He primal rage. He just managed to find 2 kills, but has he overstepped with this ult use? Looking for a
look good for Prophet at the beginning of that. Like it was a good nade, but it looked like they were gonna have positioning, but Shanghai hold. And now they got a lot of ultimates. What was that? Nano Primal by Seoul? Only a visor by Shanghai. So I don't mean to hate on Boston, but in my opinion, Crimzo deserves a better team. He is such a great support, a nice guy. Makes my heart see him struggle and see him struggle knowing his health issues. It's just the way it is, you know. Like at least Boston's on a team. There's a lot of players who have unfortunately fallen out of the league. Prophet? Prophet just somehow kills the entire Shanghai Dragons team. Like Shanghai has 4 ultimates, yet they just... Was that a nade by Creative?
There's 4 damn ultimates. There's 4 damn ultimates. Lee Jae-gon had a beat. And they just all got wiped by Prophet. What? Hello? Shanghai Dragons. Like,
Avril is pissed.
Should probably win this one. There's no way Prophet team wipes us. And Prophet's like, we're going to pipe down on all that lip talk, you know, all that lip service. Got to pipe down on that.
Press Q, I think it's fair. Like, you know, as I said, I was doing a practice cast with Jack and I said the exact same thing. There is no world in which Shanghai Dragons should lose a fight in that positioning. They're in the better defensive positioning. They have more ultimates and they just fall over to a single blade by Prophet. They have 4 ultimates. They have so many answers to what was thrown at them. And then, like, once again, we get to this point where the Seoul Dynasty are going to cap out and they only use beat. They have Nanoblade, they have Primal. They, like, why are they not committing these ultimates to the fight?
And this is scary here. Seoul Dynasty clearly not satisfied at all with their attack on Gibraltar, not satisfied with being full or held, and they're making up for it here now on this attack on Eichenwald.
Really quick fun fact before the fight starts. Yeah, I'm still gonna get it in there. Prophet is currently deadlifting on Seoul. There you go. As of right now. 8 out of 16.
Hold my mech I'll do it myself. Huge.
Wow, 4-minute time back. Surely Seoul capped this map easily. Yeah. Seoul, there's no way Seoul dropped the spaghetti on this one. They have so many ultimates coming up soon. There's no way they...
He denies yet another blade. They haven't gotten the elimination yet. Who are you, though? Well,
who are you? Get slept. Big plays.
Primal Rage will find Fitz, looks for a little bit more. Who are you? Woken up, dashes through, gets a little bit of revenge there on the creative. And he and Fate will carry the fight with Lip getting involved right at the back end. So team kill comes in.
Hey, buddy.
And they managed to make up for the beginning of that catastrophe with a nice little victory, and they'll drain some time off of the
dash bug. Is this the point that people were talking about with the Genji dash bug?
As well. So things were getting quite tight there. In some ways, I think
catastrophe. Puts up a bit. There's still a plethora of ultimates available for the Shanghai Dragons. They're going to use 2 of them, but there's a sleep. Creative puts who are you on the ground. He denies yet another blade. They haven't gotten the elimination yet. Who are you, though?
I didn't notice anything.
Around the back, deflection going to be burned. In the meantime, with the Primal Rage, will find Fitz. Looks for a little bit more. Who are you?
Because I know people have been talking about how there's been a Genji dash bug. Was only observed dash bug? Ah, okay. That was a Becky one. Yeah, I remember people saying that, like, there was a dash bug and it potentially affected the result of the match. I don't actually, like, it's just it should do damage and it doesn't. Is that it? It's kind of like a no-rig on the Genji dash.
So things were getting quite tight there. In some ways, I think Seoul don't mind backing out. Okay, they technically lose the fight, but they make it expensive. They force all these ultimates out of Shanghai. Fate has to pull out their Primal as well. Now
it freezes you for a slight bit so you can't turn fast snap. Ah, okay. Interesting. I haven't seen that happen. I'm sure it's hard to, like, see as a spectator, but, like, you would feel that kind of thing as a player. We need to remember, I forgot Fate's Winston only struggled. Yeah, Fate's still, like, a great Winston. Like, I don't think Winston is his best hero, but he's still a good Winston and still better than most of the league. He's just maybe isn't the same level as, like, you know, what Smurf was in the past or Fearless was in the past and stuff like that. So, but he's been playing well in the Winston so far this year. That was a big kill onto Creative there, slowing down the push of the Seoul Dynasty. If Creative doesn't die there, like, this push continues.
They might not be aware of it currently, but Shanghai Dragons are lacking. So here we go. Fitz has gone in.
They popped the visor. I don't know if I agree with that beat from Vindame. I don't think that was necessary at all.
Visor going to expire. Prophet continuing to play forward, trying to zone
Izyaki's about to get that nano.
Along with a couple extra shots, lead to the kill onto Fate. Smurf, however,
dies before he gets it off. Dude, it's crazy Seoul don't win this fight.
Having bodies dropped on the ground, left, right, and center. Fitz finds another. Lee Jae-gon needing to contest is going to be taken down. Now it's all.
So I assume they get the nano onto Fate? No? Oh my god. Vindame gets... Oh my god. Izzyaki walks out, nanos who are you, and sleeps Vindame. Who are you then is able to live for long enough to, and then also kills Vindame? Dude, Izzyaki is doing so much work, and he is still alive. Izzyaki is still alive. Fate comes back, gets the Primal. Absolutely ridiculous play by Izzyaki. Izzyaki is just existing, and that is such a problem.
0.5 meters for that matter is all that the Dynasty need, but they're losing out on the fight. The Shanghai Dragons have managed to stabilize. Boop comes in. They're trying to push them off the cart. The Primal now there as well from Smurf. They just need to clear a little bit of space to have.
This is such a bad fight for Seoul as well, because they committed so many things. Like, they used Blade, Primal, and Nano towards the end of that fight. It's like, what do you do against this Lip Visor? Like, Shanghai have complete freedom to just play however they want. They're about to get a beat. Fate never died, yeah. Like Fate just being able to get onto the point and then popping that Primal and just pushing everyone around is just enormous.
By the way, also, Fate's Primal stops Prophet from getting any value on his blade. Sure, who are you died during his blade, but Prophet couldn't get more done because he was targeted by Fate. Another huge sleep from Creative to shut down Lip, but Dragons clutch on out. What an insane performance.
Well, now Visor v Visor, Lip gonna pop.
Oh, so Visor versus Visor. They put them both. Prophet just gets punished. Probably trying to go too aggressive. And if you're Shanghai, you just go aggressive here, right? I would almost nano. I would nano. They love to nano who are you. I would just nano who are you in. Yeah, just do it. There we go. Just go aggressive with the nano. Oh, who are you? Literally, by every different definition, puts creative in the ground. Yeah, Vindame's beat. He finally gets it, but it's too late. Yeah, Prelige on thing. I think as soon as he popped the visor and they counter beated and counter visored, I believe it was as well, you need to just accept that, like, you just need to disengage. And then come back with your beat. But I think Vindame used his beat unnecessarily. You just playing Overwatch 1 now that the beta's over? Nah, I'm just playing nothing. Playing Apex now that the beta's over.
Bionade thrown, looking for the hit, finds two. Who are you? Actually almost dies there.
Shanghai are the Bizarro Glads and vice versa. They drop the spaghetti all match, but when it comes to the most important scrappy final battle, Shanghai always clutch out the W, whereas Glads are the anti-clutch team who plays great throughout the normal fights. Yeah, I think it's Shanghai expects greatness from themselves, and I think they always have the confidence to be able to win fights. Well, I think it's the opposite for the Los Angeles Gladiators. I think they actively, every time they're about to win, they get really nervous. So then it feels like from the reverse sweeps that we saw from them over the last couple of weeks, they get the way that, oh, I would have dashed that and gone for the resets. And this is why who are you still now? I think what happens is Glads get so desperate for the win that they just start panic ulting and panic using things to try and win on their own. And they sort of throw away their teamwork and their synergy and just start pressing all the buttons.
And it does. Prophet greedily dashes forward, gets the elimination on the Legion gun, but they might be able to turn this right back on its head. The DPS duo taken down away from the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Smurf, though, will find Izayaki. That's the support stripped away from Shanghai Dragons.
Shanghai mess up the first fight. It was looking like they were going to turn around, but just not enough.
Joined the point very quickly. Shouldn't miss too much time here.
Also, Shanghai are kind of slow to regroup here as well, so they're not in a position.
Are you suggesting that button mashing doesn't work? I am saying that pressing all the buttons at once with no rhyme or reason is indeed a bad play.
Playing a soldier, he's on a Reaper, so we're looking for a different kind of strategy here. Shanghai definitely trying to brawl this one out.
Nano visor. It's interesting seeing how Seoul and Shanghai play. Shanghai always nano who are you, while Seoul almost always nano fits. Yeah, that's a massive difference in like who they put their resources into. Like, have we seen a nano Prophet very often at all with the blade? Not really. It feels like every time he pulls a blade, he's just trying to get like one or force out ultimates. Surf gets got. And that was a lot of ults that Seoul committed to try and hold on to that fight, right? And Shanghai didn't even really need to commit that much. I think Smurf kind of trolled with that primal play.
No Blossom, no Blade required for that fight here. Dragons get away with, honestly, quite a bit of value.
Oh my god, who are you? Just murdered Prophet.
Maybe establish some of that Genji dominance.
Hey, that was actual murder.
Have to kind of call out Fitz there a little bit that he spent most of the visor shooting Fate, who then just primals anyway. So he wasn't aware that Fate had a primal. Gets the kill to Lee Jae-gung, couldn't connect the second final blow. Ends up being mostly a wasted visor as Lip cleaned up most of the rest of the kills. But we're in the sort of situation now where it's kind of free push for the Shanghai Dragons, and if you're Seoul and you want to contest this one, you will be contesting into a Blossom.
Get myself a blankie. My feet always are cold. So there's the Prophet Blade. Once again, no nano. It feels like he just pops and tries to kill back lineup. Alright, so there we get the ults from Shanghai to push through. I like it. Pop the beat, pop the blade, counter what they've done. Clean play by Shanghai Dragons. So good to see Who Are You back. I love that guy in the Apex back in the days. Honestly, me too. I loved watching Who Are You play. I hated playing against Who Are You. Who Are You as a Genji was like the only player I ever played against Genji where I felt he was actually a broken character. Like somehow Who Are You just kills you without blade in like a millisecond. Oh my god, great sleep by Creative. Not enough though. We get another nano onto Who Are You, who's just going absolute sicko mode with these. No! Come back here, Lip! Oh my god, that was such a good prediction deflect. Like the timing of that deflect, as soon as Fitz 180'd, he popped the deflect knowing that he was going to shoot the rocket.
Across the bridge. Lip still holds onto the Death Blossom, just waiting for the moment to strike.
And the moment to strike is
Who Are You Tracer? Yeah, Who Are You Tracer looks serviceable, right? Like, obviously, oh wow, another great sleep onto Fate. Obviously, they'd want to put Flutter in if they're ever going to properly play Tracer, but dude, Lip is still holding on to this Death Blossom, by the way. Still waiting for that moment. He has yet to press the Q in the round.
Sound barrier is now dropped by Vindame, trying to make
It's the only resource they got.
Oopsie perhaps from him. Fate gonna be taking a nap. Smurf.
Flutter didn't look great in the map 4 he played. Flutter has been not great so far in this season overall. Like, I think Flutter's really been struggling to get anything done.
Continues to seek some targets. Will take Lip danger.
Oh, Lip is in trouble.
Remaining for him. Cleanup will come through, and Dynasty have finally stabilized, it would seem.
And this is where you have to really start to maybe take a second look at this Reaper pick, because
Yeah, I think Reaper will be good on the 3rd point. They just need to get there. Like, Lip just needs to force something, I think, with this Death Blossom. It feels like he's waiting for his team to give him space, but because he's not putting out any damage on the Reaper, it feels really hard for the Winston Genji to provide any space. I think you just let Who Are You Blade, and then have Lip follow up the Blade. Wait, use the Genji ult to get all the resources out, and then just Death Blossom. But there's a Nano Blade coming in from the Seoul Dynasty. All right, there we go. Oh, here's a yuck.
But he gets woken back up, and oh no, the miscommunication here from the Dragons. It is going to cost them dearly. Prophet continues to play forward now. His fate just going to
Who was it?
farmed up to
reach the second point.
Prophet holding the
Who was it?
Nano goes
Slept.
in the blade.
Who woke him? I'm not mad. I just want to know who it was. Like, literally, he took no damage. It had to have been a It had to have been a Winston or a Lucio. I think it had to have been one of the two.
Cost them dearly. Prophet continues to play forward now. His fate just going to be farmed up. It's a minute
And that's a problem. At least that's the Nano Blade. You have the Seoul Dynasty out of ultimate, so the Shanghai Dragons, like, this is their moment. Like, they need to find this opportunity to be able to cap this point. If they don't get away with these ults, I mean, they need to just press the ultimates, right? That we saw them struggle with that on defense on 2nd point. They have such a big ult advantage. They just need to press the buttons. Oh, they actually counter dive, or just kill Seoul when they dive aggressively.
All the way out in no man's land. I mean, he's still managing to stay alive for a considerable amount of time. The Death Blossom actually gets forced there by Lip.
He's like,
Well, this is what we saved the Death Blossom for the entire time. For that exact moment, because fuck you, Fitz, that's why.
Still going to be advancing now as they wait to regroup.
Big Blossom. Honestly, it saved Who I Use life, so it's not the worst thing in the world. It was just kind of comical that it got to that point that he had to use it.
Especially given that Vindame is the
Hey, they capped. You know, you can't argue with the results.
Looks for a little bit of harassment here, but ends up falling. Can't get much.
Did Smurf jump to engage? I think what happened is Prophet and Smurf wanted to get onto the backline and force ultimates before they did anything. But Shanghai Dragons was just good presence of mind to not pop the ultimates as soon as they saw that. And they just ended up winning that first initial fight without having to use anything. So then they had the Nano Blade going into that final fight. And it's impossible for the Seoul Dynasty to engage into a Nano Blade at that point. Lee J gone, drops the beat to counter the dive, and then Fate goes in with Who Are You? Clean. The Lip Reaper. This is the time that Lip on the Reaper is going to actually be a good moment. Shooty shotguns, able to get into a lot more corridors. People can't run as effectively. Yeah, there's stagger after stagger for the Seoul Dynasty right now.
Okay, well, they're going to save. Okay, the payload is just far enough away, but the problem is it's about to cap now. So with no Primal, no Smurf, it's hard for them to get on. Here he comes.
I don't like the visor here. I really don't like the visor. So I want to highlight two things. Yes, that was a great play by Fate. Fate drops the bubble. So we watch here. So Fate drops the bubble. So when the beat goes down by Vindame, it doesn't actually hit Fitz, and Fitz goes down. But with that said, that you can't just walk out a spawn and pop the visor and expect to get value. Like, I would have much preferred to see an aggressive dive with the beat out the door and then, like, rush them down, wait for all the cooldowns to go down from Shanghai, and then press visor. If you press visor at the very beginning of the fight, people have all their resources to deal with you. Fitz ends up just getting punished for popping that visor, and they needed that. So now they don't get that much value out of the beat because the one person dies. Smurf pops Primal, but he's just absolutely in no man's land compared to the rest of the team. And Prophet just has to somehow win with Nano Blade here. Honestly, he gets the Nano Blade, which is pretty big. Good boot by Legion. Oh. I don't think you should have gone for Lip there. Maybe you should have gone for the backline, but honestly, there's no good answer at that point. Shanghai Dragons close out the map.
Will manage to make the push work. They get to the end of Iconvola, they win the map, and now they are...
Yeah, like, I agree. Like, maybe Smurf goes out first, jumps in, takes some space, maybe force it all out of Shanghai, pop the Primal, hold the point, and then when you really want to go aggressive again, you beat engage. Maybe with the visor. But I think just walking out of spawn and just pressing beat and pressing visor, like, that's not going to work against a good team.
We saw that in week 1. didn't work. Soul knows it doesn't work, so...
Smurf was last dead. He couldn't go out first. I think they had time to get out there, though. And even then, like, if they want to just beat out, like, that's not the worst thing in the world. Obviously not ideal, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just you don't need to pop the visor with it. Because even if, like, let's say Fitz doesn't die there, he still wasn't going to get any value out of his visor. He was about to just get run over by the rest of the team and, like, mitigated damage, etc., etc., etc. Like, there was nothing... It wasn't going to go well anyway. So we go into the fourth map. It's now 2-1 for the Seoul Dynasty. Remember, Seoul Dynasty... sorry, for Shanghai Dragons. Remember, Seoul Dynasty were 1 meter, like a micro, like, play away from winning Watch Point Gibraltar being 2-0 up. And now it's the complete opposite. They're now 2-1 down as the Shanghai Dragons look to close it out with Fleta coming in to play the Tracer.
Eyeing up the bot themselves as they wait for him to unlock. 10 seconds left to go for that as the soldiers will just send some shots across looking for straight connections, trying to build up towards those ever important tack visors.
Mental boom. I'm sure it's frustrating. Like, Seoul should not be losing the series right now. And I'm sure that's frustrating. That's the, like, frustrating time to play, right? When you don't feel like you should be losing the series.
They haven't been able to poke and prod enough damage in for a full commit.
Here we go. Fake's the first one that wants to pull that trigger. But again, it's a soft commit, right? He comes in, drops a bubble, then leaves again. So both teams still doing mostly poke. With Fate actually exiting with a jump, that might give Seoul the opportunity to walk up.
Yep, and they have.
Smurf gets a little too aggressive with that. Like, how does Fate kill? Like, I'm curious on how Fate gets a kill here. Because, like, so the Winston's trade aggression, right? So Smurf gets punished, but somehow Fate in a 1v4 manages to kill Creative. Like, how does this happen? Was Vinname not able to heal him or help him in any way? Like, does Creative not have a nade for himself? But, yeah, Fate getting value on his complete own, but Profit getting the kills back. You think it was overall outskilled or a mindset change or lost confidence for all the above? For what? In this match? No, I just think it's just like the little things. I think Shanghai having a bit more composure at the end of some of these rounds. Like, you know, that Seoul Dynasty play at the end of Icon World that I was just talking about. I feel like Seoul Dynasty sort of lost their composure from time to time, and that's what ended up costing them around.
Yeah, not at all. Well, Pulse now going to be online. Prophet was looking for a setup, but then has to dip away as he does get spotted. Now he's going to go back in, looks for the stick, can't quite get it though.
Just whiffs it by the coat of Izayaki.
Cannot quite make it happen.
So Nanovisor, pretty good ultimate. Who would have thought? I don't really understand this play by Seoul. So Fitz gets nanoed, but Creative goes down, and then he pops the visor super late after they've already lost so much. So I think Fitz just lost track of where that team fight was at that moment. Pops the visor, that's a problem, right? So now all of a sudden Seoul Dynasty used their big combo in the nano visor, and they lost the fight. And they didn't even, like, it wasn't like Shanghai Dragons over-ulted to compensate against that. They literally just traded nanovisor for nanovisor, but Shanghai Dragons win the fight.
The supports are dead. There's no chance he wins it. He would have to defeat Lip, who still has an nanovisor running, as well as the rest of the Dragons.
It's really hard to scratch the mental state, and that's like, and it's not like, we're not saying that Shanghai Dragons are flawless. Like, the difference, I think, between Shanghai Dragons and the Seoul Dynasty is that the Shanghai Dragons, they have been a team for so long, and they've come back from deficits, they've had bad plays, and they've had their moments of where they drop the spaghetti and they lose matches. Like, 2020 was a big one for those, where it felt like they were a great team, but every time, like, when the pressure was really on, they would crumble. They fixed a lot of those issues in 2021, and they're holding on to that in 2022. It's something that I don't have confidence in Seoul. How do you miss that? That's like, he like panicked thinking he was going to strafe left at the last second. That's something I would do with the pulse bomb.
Get him back in.
Dropping the spaghetti just a little bit there. Both the Tracers unable to find their targets. Fate now.
That was not great by Fleta. You need to hit those. At the Overwatch League level, if you're going to get a free pulse bomb like that, you need to hit that.
Trying to buy some space, goes charging forward, spots Fleta in the back line. Lip gonna be peeled though. And Smurf goes in, finds an elimination onto the enemy soldier 76. Dive comes.
Dude, Lee Jae-gon loves to dive. Yeah, I don't know how Izayaki manages to live for so long, because Izayaki just loves to. Sorry, Lee Jae-gon just loves to dive with the team. Like, for some, I feel like I see, like, every time I see Fate dive in, Lee Jae-gon is at his coattails, while Fleta is like playing more defensively than anything.
Which means that Seoul should be able to overtake that in very few moments. With nearly 4 minutes of
Prong, thank you for the prime sub.
this is some of the lowest.
That's why we love Lee Jae-gon. Hey, you live by the Lee Jae-gon, you die by the Lee Jae-gon. Because Lee Jae-gon sure does love to do some feeding it from time to time as well.
We've barely reached 50.
Pulse bomb from Prophet. Let's see if he can do a better job. Ooh, that's how it's done. Clean pulse bomb on Izayaki.
Izayaki, that's going to be the nano out of the fray for a little bit longer. Here's Dynasty trying to take the lead, stick in onto Smurf. We'll just be able to shrug off that damage though. Heavily armored up, gets some nice focus healing.
Favorite game of the week was when the Gladiators stayed in one round C9 and then literally, yeah, when the Gladiators manifested a C9 out of, what team was it? That was Atlanta, right? When they manifested the C9.
Very slim margins. We'll see how far they can take this before the recontest comes back in.
Izayaki wanted to save his nano as well. Maybe could have.
I feel like 5v5 is going to struggle to bring comp diversity. Some kits do not synergize for the environment. I think that's just a problem with Overwatch, right? In general. Like, yeah, I don't think that's a 5v5 issue. We saw very little comp diversity in 6v6 as well. If anything, we see more comp diversity so far in Overwatch 2. Obviously, probably because the game has not been solved out. Fate going sicko mode with the Primal. We have not seen as much comp diversity from Overwatch 2, right?
However, with the Helix rockets, will get the Lucio, and now the bot going to be shipped back over towards the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, it's the second vice exchange that goes heavily in the way of Lip. Unfortunately, Fitch just can't quite get his.
Why does Prophet always shoot a little bit before throwing pulse instead of just sticking instantly after blinking in? Probably min-maxing value. Like, it's probably muscle memory, if anything, that when he blinks, he's going to shoot. Traces are simple people. They see people, they shoot people. Even if they're going to stick people. Good, much better beat by Lee Jae-gon there. Has the second beat. Oh, good. Interesting play by Creative to just... I feel like he like bamboozled. Look at the Creative bamboozle. The Dragon's like, let's get that Creative. And then Creative like runs past them and they're like, hey, wait, where did he go? They do manage to get Creative eventually though. Smurf's doing work in the backline though as well.
But does manage to find Izayaki. Now Fate going to be falling, and it's going to be the Dynasty winning out the fight. They get damn close, just 4 meters away from being able to tie this up, but the Dynasty get the team kill. And now they send the bot back over towards Dragon side of the map.
Yeah, both sound barriers exchange there, but Seoul Dynasty on the back of that brilliant damage and to put a lot of members low. Smurf with the
Alright, so we got the Seoul Dynasty coming back. There was 6 minutes into a round, and we've yet to see either team push it past 40 meters, which I think is a first. Like, no one's really gotten a lot of progress here. Another stick by Prophet. Like, Prophet is really diffing Fleta right now. We're not seeing that impact of Fleta anywhere near as much as we're seeing the Prophet Tracer. Like, he's gonna stick the Winston, which, like... Yeah, like, it's not, like, that's not a great pulse bomb, and I think overall in Overwatch 2, sticking the Winston isn't that good unless you're going to guarantee the kill. So, yeah, Fleta's definitely not having that same level of impact right now. Seoul Dynasty getting some space.
Where's the visor? There it is.
Nano visor, baby. Seoul Dynasty going aggressive. Fate's going to die as well. And that's going to be the checkpoint by Seoul Dynasty. There's no way Seoul Dynasty have the advantage by having the checkpoint with only 1 minute remaining. There's no way the Seoul Dynasty throw this away.
Worse and worse for them as time goes on.
Well, they got the checkpoint as well now, over 17 meters. Importantly, Izayaki dies at like 98% nano, so Shanghai could have...
So here's the moment, by the way, that I think the Seoul Dynasty throw it, okay? So you are in a good situation. You're in a good situation in which you can choose when you want to take this fight. They have such a big advantage, they can choose when they want to take it. This was not the fight to take. Smurf steps in. I don't know why he doesn't go for that Mega there. There's a Mega sitting right here. He really should have grabbed that Mega, stayed alive, and applied pressure. Like, I don't know what he was doing in this situation, but he's also... No one else is even close to what Smurf is doing. So, and this sort of goes back to what I was saying of Shanghai Dragons keeping their poise in these, like, high tension, like, you know, Shanghai Seoul only really needs to win one team fight. Smurf goes in before anyone else, before there's any other support. Then the Seoul Dynasty, they step up to try and, you know, also, like, follow up Smurf. But because Smurf has already died, the fight is lost. So Shanghai, without having to use a single ultimate, and without losing... Oh, actually, they lose Lee Jae-gon. I was going to say, without losing a single player, Lee Jae-gon, I guess, doesn't really matter because he has speed boost. They end up winning that fight, and now Seoul Dynasty are so poor in terms of ultimates, and Shanghai Dragons have everything at their disposal, so they can win this fight by just popping all their ultimates, and that opens the door for them to be able to win. So Seoul needs to be careful with how they use their ultimates. If you are smart and you have the composure at this point as the Seoul Dynasty, here's what you need to do.
You need to find value out of your beaten primal. Even if that doesn't result in winning the team fight, they just need to find value. If they try and win this fight versus the Shanghai Dragons, like realistically, what do you think the chances are that Seoul can win this fight with the ultimates that they have? Pretty low, right? Like 20%, maybe. Like that, if I'm just throwing you a random number. But because they ended up getting this checkpoint, if they take the fight early enough and get enough ults out of Shanghai, they will get another good fight. So I think it's about getting the most value you can out of the ultimates that you have and trying to force as much out of Shanghai as you can. I'd rather see Prophet go for the backline here. I would love to see Prophet go for the backline and get this Ana. Smurf pops the primal. And this is the moment that all Seoul Dynasty's hearts broke. Lee Jae-gon, so this reaction by Lee Jae-gon to save Izayaki with the beat, because the timing of the beat actually saves him, is completely random, I think. Look at Lee Jae-gon's health. So he's beating before the sticker's even gone off. So but it's not like a, oh my god, he's a genius type thing. This is just pure fortune that he's beaten primarily because he's seen the engage coming. But then as the beat goes down, the stick hits Izayaki. Izayaki lives, which is crazy. Creative gets a great sleep against Fate on the primal. But this is what I was talking about, right? I was like, okay, at least they got the ultimates out, right? That's 4 ultimates of the Shanghai Dragons. You are not upset with that fight if you're the Seoul Dynasty. That's not the worst play in the world. They also get lip. The problem that they have is that Izayaki saved the nano, so now Seoul Dynasty need to find a way to get into this fight. And the big crux of the Seoul Dynasty is going to be this nano. Creative needs to get to this nano boost for them to be able to win this. So they need to go, I think they need to go fast and find some positioning, and then just nano smurf. Or do you know, you probably save it for the visor. You probably nano Fitz. Okay, so this is, I actually remember this. How does Fitz die? So Smurf dies before, Creative's not even healing Smurf in this situation. Look at this. Smurf is holding this angle, yet Creative isn't healing him. He has, I don't know if he has a nade on cooldown or something like that, but he just doesn't help Smurf. I think he's not expecting the entire Shanghai Dragons team to come under this thing, but he doesn't heal him. If he heals him, he gets the nano, probably nano Smurf, just nano Smurf at this point, and Smurf lives. So if he has a nade there, or he gets something, he just nades Smurf, he gets the nano and then nano Smurf. This is a completely different round. But somehow, Creative doesn't help his Winston. Smurf goes down, and then all of a sudden, they're just in a bad spot. Fitz gets, I didn't see this. Fitz gets slept. He gets nanoed as he gets slept. And he has the visor. Wow, that's a great catch by Avril to be able to see that sleep. And then it's just too late. The rest of his team's dead before he can get the nano. Woo. That might have been one of the best push maps we've ever seen. I think that kind of highlights the cool situations that can come with push of the Shanghai Dragons making this crazy comeback. But that was definitely some spaghetti drop by the Seoul Dynasty. I think I'm going to put a lot of that pressure onto Smurf. I think Smurf made some mistakes in the final moments of that map. Just getting a little too aggressive, that impatience to be able to win the round, and that disconnect with Creative. But great play by Shanghai Dragons. That beat by Lee Jae-gon 100% saved them. If Izayaki goes down very early in that fight without getting the nano off, I actually don't even know if Shanghai wins that fight with how many ults they pushed. So, yeah, Smurf a little bit too aggressive. I'd agree with that. That was a consistent theme throughout the entire series. But it was a great match, nonetheless, right? Like, I think a lot of people look at that match and be like, oh, Seoul dropped the spaghetti. It was great play from both teams. Shanghai Dragons forcing mistakes out of the Seoul Dynasty. And that was some of the best Overwatch we've seen so far this year. And we'll probably see these two teams face off once again in the Kickoff Clash playoffs for the APAC region. Thank you very much for watching the review. It was awesome to be able to check out these teams. We got a lot of great matches coming up this weekend. This is the only review I'll be doing this week. So make sure to tune in for the Kickoff Clash. Make sure to check out all the matches. Come see my dumbass cast some games. I'll review matches as they happen, I guess, if that's sort of what you're looking out for. So much love. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Enjoy the matches, and I'll see you guys next time.